Welcome, Professor, to assignment number 3. My name is Laura Lida Ramos Mar, and she is my classmate, Ruby Esmeralda Leon Leon, and we are here to have a chat about individual differences in second language learning. During the video, we are going to add some segments of 2 interviews that we made to two different students of the language degree. They're both from first semester. So our first characteristic is intelligence. Ruby, what can you tell me about the intelligence?
Well, the intelligence is sometimes associated with the success in the school, but it doesn't mean that a person who is intelligent or that we believe that is intelligent is going to be good in a second language.
Well, you're right, because according to the book, a high IQ score doesn't mean that it doesn't guarantee that you're going to have maybe a good pronunciation, because maybe you could be good in grammar or structure in sentences, but if you don't practice, anyways, you're not going to have a good pronunciation, despite you're intelligent or no. And we have the fact, well, there are cases where we don't know if a person is intelligent because they are sometimes shy and they don't get to talk and interact with others, and we get to think that they are like we get to think that they don't have high IQ just because they don't get to talk to others. Our next characteristic is the aptitude, and according to John Carroll, the aptitude is the ability to learn quickly than others.
Me llamo Saraí Sánchez y tengo 18 años. Digo que eso de la inteligencia pues no es necesario. Yo creo que con el tiempo todos vamos alcanzando, aunque algunos lentos y otros son más rápidos porque tienen más capacidad de aprender, pero en sí yo creo que lo que se necesita es las ganas y estar persistente y no dejarlo de que, porque sí es idioma, así con el tiempo lo voy a hacer, sino estar repasando, investigando, saber más.
Well, this student gave us an explicit answer that is in the book, because she's saying that don't be intelligent don't mean that you cannot learn a second language, because if you persevere in it, you can be successful in it, in the language.
Yes. It is what, well, the aptitude says that, well, maybe she's right, because maybe it's what we were saying about intelligence, that you don't need to have a high IQ score if you get to persevere, and so that leads us to the aptitude, because it says that maybe we don't learn as quick as others, but that doesn't mean that the other learners that persevere, it doesn't mean that those learners are not able to learn as much as the other persons that have a quickly mode of learning. So,
Yes, and also important thing in it is that it's important for a second language student have be strong in all the components of aptitude, because it help them to improve in the language,
Now we're going to mention the learning styles.
The books mentions three kinds or three ways to learn. The first one is the first one are the visual learners. They are the students who need
To see.
what they are going to learn.
Okay.
They-
Yes. Then we have the auditorial learners, that are the learners that are better learning a language by hearing it, by receiving all the pronunciations and conjugations and all that, just by the ear, just by listening.
And the last one is a kinesthetic learner. Is a student who use mimic and role to help the process he's following, he or she's following
To learn as
to
a
learn
language.
the language.
Mi nombre es Jessie y tengo 17 años. El interés más que nada y la curiosidad por no quedarse solo con lo que se ve en clase, sino seguir tratando de practicar después en casa o así.
So, what do you think of this student about learning styles?
Well, I think she's a kinesthetic learner because she have to practice and she have to
Well, that could be like a mimic way
yes,
to learn, because she needs
to reinforce
yes to
The
and to
knowledge.
and to repeat what she already has
learn.
in her
Yes.
second language.
According to the personality, we have two principal personalities. The first one is the extroversion learner, and the second is the introverted learner. The first one sometimes is considered as a good student because he or she participates more in classes and produce more the language he's learning, and that's good for the language for improve. But the introverted learners are shy and they only listen, receive information, but they are good in grammar and in the
Structure of the sentence.
yes.
Yes. Well, that can be. Well, the book mentions that uh, the inhibition has been studied, and the book says that the learners of a second language have more self-conscious than the younger learners, for example, the kindergarten learners. And so the inhibition is the part that they know they have a risk. So they know that they get to have that consciousness, the awareness of that if they mention that they can be they it could be that they are not sure about what they're going to mention. Maybe they know that the word it will be mispronounced, and well, maybe they're shy to have a correction from the professor, so that makes that they don't want to really get to participate in the classroom and all that.
But it is bad too because if the learner don't make errors, they cannot get feedback. So we have to make errors to improve in our language.
Yes. Well, we also have the anxiety. The book mentions the anxiety, that is like the stress, maybe
Nervousness.
the nervousness of as we said, of participating in class, and it could be a bad part, but it mentions that it is not always a bad, because there are some students that the anxiety get to wake a feeling in them, like well, I have to be good in this part, I have to pronounce, and that the anxiety can make them to be more how can I say, to be like to research in their knowledge, and well, to make it and to have adrenaline maybe to, and so that the anxiety is not always bad, because that sometimes it helps the students to be better, and to have like a motivation maybe to pronounce and to participate and all that.
And this point is important because learners always bring with them the anxiety, and it's a permanent thing during the process of learning a second language.
So anxiety is also important.
Yes.
Disciplina para estudiar y para practicar, constancia o perseverancia, y pues un interés por aprender no solo el idioma, sino también la cultura de los países que hablen español.
Well, then we have the attitudes and motivation. She mentioned that you need to have interest in a second language that you're going to learn, because well, it is important to have interest, because I think that the interest leads to the motivation, because if you get interested in it, you're going to learn about it, and then you're going to participate, and well, having a good answer from the teacher and from others maybe will motivate you to keep doing it, to keep being like that, and so that the motivation and all that leads to a good attitude from the students to learn, to keep learning in that, so that gives them a good attitude and motivation.
Have motivation also can help us to be extroverted, because we get confidence, and we are able to pronounce, to participate, and don't get shy in the classes.
Yeah, maybe that's what some students, like we said, the introvert students may need. They may need just a little push, just a little motivation from others, and that could bring them to have a good attitude.
And also change the attitude that they have.
Yes, to have a good one, to learn, and to get motivated and learn a second language.
Realmente se me hace muy interesante el saber la estructura de lo que, el idioma que hablamos. Brevemente comento que la mayoría de las personas que conocí se motivaban porque pues querían salir de viaje y todo eso, pero realmente me motivó más que nada el aprender bien nuestra lengua y después las demás.
About identity and ethnic group affiliation, we have well, the student mentioned that she would like to learn her mother tongue, her native language first, than learning a second or third language, so that well, that is in this identity and ethnic group, because she identified a Spanish speaker, so she wants to like learn first a good Spanish, and well, that that would be like the identity of her because of that.
Yeah, but it also can interfere with her, her second language acquisition because she's motivated to learn well his mother tongue, her mother tongue, but we don't know if she are going to be engaged to learn the second language. We don't know if she is going to be responsible with this process. So
Well, maybe she could be responsible because she said that you need to be interested and all that. So, well, it would be contradicting if she said, well, you have to be interested, and then she's like, I don't care about the second language. I just want
my first language is first.
and all that. So yeah, that could be. Okay, and so then we have the learner's belief. We know that those are always present in every learner because, well, you get to a class and you have like a belief, like
An expectation.
like an expectation of how the class is going to be. Like maybe you get to the class and you have the belief that for being a second language, the professor would be more kind and more soft with you because
You don't expect the language.
you don't have the language, and so that's kind of a learner's belief, and we know that older learners have more beliefs than the youngers because they already have experiences of learning, and maybe they have the belief that they are going to learn as they learned in the past.
Eso de la inteligencia pues no es necesario. Yo creo que con el tiempo todos vamos alcanzando, aunque algunos lentos y otros son más rápidos porque tienen más capacidad de aprender, pero en sí yo creo que lo que se necesita es las ganas y estar persistente.
Yes. I consider that the girl who say that intelligence is not a determinant factor for learning second language is wrong. Is wrong? Wrong. Because it's true. It's not a determinant factor, but it's I believe that she has because intelligence is not only the fact of know something. It is related to the kinds of intelligence of Howard Gardner. So you can be intelligent in a music way or something like that. But I think that is something relevant in this case because it's a belief that she has only. There is no more.
Yes, and well, some students also have the belief that more like a belief. It is more like a desire to be correct by the professors, and well, most of the professors doesn't have that desire. Maybe because, well, I think that it could be maybe because the professors may be shy to correct
To
them.
correct. Maybe the professor think that he's going to be rude if correct the students.
Students. Yeah, but well, it could be also that the professor doesn't have the desire to correct because maybe the professor think that at a certain point the students should have uh,
No.
uh, should have the knowledge already, so they don't want like to be in the class, to get in the class and get to correct them, because he's like, well, I think they should already know this because it is from, I don't know, from kindergarten maybe, so they get to be like, I don't want to correct them because they should know this. Okay, and last but not least, we have the age on the second language learning.
Well, in this point, I think that the age is important because it gives us the level of
Maturity.
of maturity that the student has, and it is important because it's linked to the cognitive intelligence. So if we have a younger learner, it may be not it's not going to be a responsible student, or maybe is not ready to learn a second language. So I think that the age is important in this case.
Yes, and as we know, well, for acquiring a first language, we have the critical period, but to acquire a second language, we have the critical period too. And well, it ain't based on the innate biological acquisition, and also the older learners may depend a lot of they depend a lot in the learning, in general learning abilities, and well, they may use those abilities to acquire other skills as well, and to get information, but those abilities may not be too effective to learn as the innate abilities that the younger learners as children have to acquire a second language, so they may not be as good as the innate abilities that we have as children. So in conclusion, in this chat we saw and learned that to be a teacher, to be a professor, you need to know these characteristics, because not all the students and learners have like the same personality or the same attitudes, or maybe they need to learn in a different way than the others. And well, in this chapter those things get to be explained, and they are necessary to be a teacher of a second language. Thank you, Professor, for your attention.